Riders ready, watch the gate.
Hey, welcome back to the Dirty Knobs podcast. I'm your host, Hollywood Mike Miranda. My co-hosts are, as always, JV James Vicente and EC Eric Carter. On this episode, oh man, it's a surprise guest. He doesn't know he's the surprise guest. It's EC Eric Carter. We just decided we wanted to ask him some questions. So it's pretty good. We have some new ads. We have some new messages about upcoming events. So stay tuned. Make sure you watch the bloopers at the end. And thanks for being a dirty knob. Oh, man.
Yay.
This does not happen that often.
Where's the AV?
Where's the JV? Oh, there he is. Let's tell him we were on here for like 20 minutes.
Dude.
We've been on for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, why 30 minutes? The thing just started 2 minutes ago.
Oh.
No getting by JV. Just no getting by JV.
We jumped the gate.
Yeah. You were early for practice.
That's right.
The first time we're in staging early, this happens.
That's exactly it.
Well, JV, why don't you introduce our special guest?
Yeah, I don't even know who it is. You guys didn't
All
tell
right.
me. I was like, you just told me one word, controversial.
Yes.
Controversial. Okay.
Yeah, very controversial.
Okay. Yeah, very controversial. All right. Thank you to Wikipedia and other known sources. Our guest today, Mr. Eric Robert Carter.
Oh, shit.
According to your Wikipedia, you were known as the Golden Child.
Hold on.
That's what it says in Wikipedia.
No. How did we come up with this?
No, don't worry about it. What do you mean?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Oh my gosh.
Also known as the Earthquake. That's a Clarence Perry. I never knew you were at the Earthquake. Or what everyone kind of knows you as is EC. You race BMX, of course. We're not going to get into the mountain bike thing, but the BMX days from around 1982, it says, to about 1995. Earlier than 82, yeah?
Yeah. I started in 78.
Yeah. Okay. As an amateur, you raced for JMC, VDC, Free Agent, Hutch, Bicycle Center, little BC, CW, Revcore, Schwin as a pro, Schwin, MRC, Titan, Brackens, and Hyper.
That's about right.
That's correct. In 1985, at the Reno Silver Dollar Nationals, it says that you said to yourself, if I don't win today, I'm going to quit. And you know what he did that day?
I do.
Tripled.
True story.
Day.
Do you want me to let you go, or do you want me to elaborate on that?
You want to elaborate? You can.
Yeah, that's true story.
I got more here, but go ahead.
That kind of started. I mean, I told Hollywood this story when we were at the Grands last, 5 years ago when we went. And yeah, man, it was 84 Grands, and I was standing on the floor, and I didn't make it out of my semi, and I was like, man, this sucks ass. I should be going faster, and there's guys that I beat some of these guys that are in the main at my local races, and I just never make it happen in the main. So, dude,
and Matt Hayden rode over to him and said, "Man,
you better practice."
Exactly, practice. No, so I went home and trained, man. I actually had a makeshift weight bench and rode my bike and all that stuff. And in between Grands and the first race in Reno, it was like 6 weeks. I just kind of made my mind up. And then driving to the race, it was my mom and Al Ross's dad and Al Ross and myself. And we were driving in like a sedan car. And halfway on there, I said it to my mom, actually. I said, Mom, if I don't win this race, I think I'm going to quit. I'm over it. And man, she had a meltdown on the car.
She was
Dude,
not happy about that.
It was
BMX
her
was her
life.
life too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all of her friends and all of the, everything basically in our life was BMX related,
Yeah.
right? So, she was pretty upset about
Yeah.
me saying that. Um,
Every casino between California and Oklahoma had a little shutter, like, oh my God, we
She
can't let that
grabbed like
happen.
1,000 sticks that day.
Oh
dude,
man, cash.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, and it was crazy, man. I got there. The track was just a tiny little shoehorned in. I mean, dude, it was the tightest U inside of a U. It's a basketball arena
Wow.
in Reno. It's
Tight.
not even like
Tight.
yeah, it was so tight, man. But I don't know. I just had a feeling and was getting starts and did good at the pre-race and just carried it on, man, and ended up tripling the whole thing. So, and that was the real like light switch moment for me
Yeah.
going forward. I was a co-factory free agent rider at the
I
time.
was gonna say, who are you riding for?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was co-factory free agent, and Don Krupe went straight over to Yvonne at the end of the
Yep.
weekend and said they had a joke called the candy store, and Don would say, "Yeah, going back to the candy store," which meant I'm going to go get another rider. And
Oh,
he just told Yvonne, he's like, "Candy store is open." And Yvonne was like, we don't have enough money to put another rider on the team. And Don's like, I'll make it happen. I'll make it work. He's getting on the team.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah,
Thank you, Don Krupe. Thank you,
yeah,
Don
Yeah.
Krupe.
Don believed
Yeah.
in me, man. And we just, we went and won some races. So it was cool. But yeah, that is a true story, JV.
That's awesome. That's a
And
great story.
was Al Ross on BC at that time?
He was on free agent.
He was already on free agent.
Yeah, he was a factory rider on free agent at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Shit.
that drive home was a lot better.
Oh, dude, it was crazy.
Your mom
How
was
did
so
they? How
happy.
did they tell you? How did they tell you? Did they tell you? Did Don tell you Sunday or?
Yeah. Yeah, he told me at the race. He
At
walked right over
the
to me and
race.
he said, you're getting stepped up. You're
Oh,
making
you
good
guys had
time."
to be so happy. You had
He's
to be
like, you're
so
on a
happy.
team. He's like, we're gonna make this happen. You're gonna be on the factory team. Yep. Pretty wild, man.
What were you getting on the co-factory team?
It was well, I got the stuff. We didn't have to pay for it, but the co-factory was a traditional co-factory program where you bought in at a discount, jersey, pants,
Mm-hmm.
helmet, and frame and fork because they didn't make completes at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
then, but my mom worked at free agent. My mom answered phones for Yvonne. We were friends, like we were
Yeah.
family friends. And because VDC and free agent were VDC made free agent spikes, and I was on VDC before that.
Mm.
So my mom answered phones, stickered frame boxes, and sent frame and forks out of the
Yeah.
it was a house it was out of the garage in Buena Park. Free agent was. I mean, literally out of the garage of the Shoop family. My
Yeah.
mom worked for him. So I think I got my co-factory stuff for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty wild, dude.
But no,
That's
no travel, no entry fees. That was
Oh
all.
no.
No
We
entry.
didn't
Yeah.
even on the factory team, like I said, you don't understand, man. Like this free agent had our presence looked way bigger than the funding behind it. Our parents yeah, exactly. I mean, we had exactly like that coat up there, and the colors were cool, and the
Yeah.
frames looked bitchin'. The frames they were actually really good bikes.
I rode one. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and everything about it was good. But all of the parents, the Krupes, Luna family, Zainal, Al Ross was a part of the program. There was a number of families that were like, the parents helped make it happen, and everybody kind of believed in the dream. And
Yeah.
dude, we had a
You had a
fantastic.
killer team.
Oh,
The
dude.
dream.
Shit, you
The
guys had
dream
a
came true.
yeah.
National
Killer
number
team.
one factory team.
Yeah, it was. And
Three
then
years.
yeah, I mean, even even after, like, that was my first year winning nationals. We stole Charles from Boss as well. So Charles came on to free agent, and then after that year, you know, we killed it. And Mike was putting together the
You
new,
had Lee Zaynow,
yeah,
Mike
was,
Luna.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was putting together the new revised version of Hutch for 86. And he cherry picked Mike Luna, Robert Zano, myself, and Charles Townsend over to the
Amazing.
factory team for Hutch, man. But Krupe, and I will tell you, man, I was thinking about this the other day. I've been going through my mom's stuff and I've been finding stuff. And dude, that was a hard decision. I mean, it wasn't hard because Hutch was the dream. That was my ultimate dream. And especially with Mike being my hero as a kid, it was like
Right.
all of the things that I totally wanted were right there.
Yeah.
But the free agent team was a real family.
Right.
And Don was, dude, he was the best team manager, man. Like Don would get the most out of you. He could just get you so fired up, man. And so that decision, you know, I was like, gosh, dude. And you know, hats off to Don. He didn't miss a beat, dude. He put together a new team with a bunch of new riders, and they still kicked ass, man. They kicked everybody's ass still.
Yeah.
They were badass.
But they didn't win national #1 team.
So crazy shit. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is a true story, JV. Like it actually, I mean, out of left field, I made that comment driving to Reno.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, EC, when he says stuff like that, he means it. He would have
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
if you didn't win, you would have quit.
I would have. Yep. I really would have, man. And you know, and it's like when I quit, you know, when me and Purse had that deal, I was kind of over it. I wanted to have a good weekend. I didn't have a good weekend. And then the icing on the top was after I was donkey kicking him in the head and, and Clayton pulled me aside and said, "Hey man, we're going to have to, you aren't racing this weekend, man. You're disqualified for the weekend." I was already like,
yeah, you were checked out.
That's okay. I'm gonna have a couple of days in Oklahoma, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang out, party with my friends, because this is it, dude. I'm hanging these things up. I'm over that.
Yeah. Shit.
And I did. I mean,
I'll be at the bar at the Sheraton if you need me.
that's literally where I was,
Right,
man.
right.
So, anyways, I'll let you keep going, JV. I know you're with
No, it's good. All right. First B Pro race, you won at the NBL Grands.
Oh wait, you can't. Did we finish out his amateur career?
No.
No, there's
Not even
other
close.
there's
This is
other
the
stuff.
big one.
There's other stuff here. Yeah. This is going in the flow. Your first B Pro race, you won at NBL Grands. You actually won every B Pro race that you entered.
I didn't know that, but I mean, that may be true.
Well, it's
I'm not sure.
It says it. It must be true.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like, I mean, you only had to get 2,000.
I was just gonna say, I can't imagine you were B Pro very long. So
yeah, well, the
Especially
thing
if you
was,
win
right?
if you win every
Yeah.
single race, you're not going to stay
right.
pro that long.
Yeah.
But it was also I was
Yeah,
also
like
racing
4
Pro
races.
Open and Pro Cruiser. So like that NBL Grands,
Yeah.
I turned at the Grands, right? So like I had all those amateur points. I was second in points in Cruiser and 20 going in. And Hayden had the lead. He was having a great year, and
Yeah.
I felt, and me and my dad felt that he was a little bit too far out in front of us to be able to catch him. So
Right.
racing for a second for national #2 for me, I was like, dude,
Right.
screw that. I'm gonna go pro. And I won the B Pro class, and then I think I got second in Pro Cruiser. I think Roop beat me at that race, but you know that money that added to how much money I was making, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so racing those Pro Opens and making those mains and finishing in the up was just
Right.
stacking that up pretty fast. So that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Your first A Pro race, you got a third, which shows you. I mean, for most sports, you know, the top tier is so much. You know, it's just better. It's just a better tier. So much better. So much better. So much
There was
better
a-
tier than the one right on. Minor league baseball players aren't clearly as good as major league. You know, not even.
No, there was a big shift.
Yeah.
The difference
But
between
you were competitive from day one. From day one.
Yeah, but the difference between A Pro and B Pro was it was definitely the talent field was deeper, right? Like when you
Yeah.
turn B Pro, there may be there's some B Pro lifer guys,
Yep.
right? And they're they're counting their dollars,
Yeah.
and maybe they're not racing at the end of the year because they're like, dude, I'm not going to get my 2000 for
Right.
the year. Um, and that was just that was just a pit stop on the way for me to get to where I was headed, you know. So the sooner I could get to the top tier, the better for me. I just wanted to get in and get out and get my $2,000 and keep going.
Yeah.
I know we'll cover this in a bit, but you were prepared for pro because the class that you raced was so stacked
Dude.
that you had heavy competition all the way up.
Yeah, our amateur.
And we'll come
Yeah.
back. I want to come back to that because I want to name names and talk
Yeah.
about those races and
But
how
it's
yeah,
true.
Some
It's
of our
true. 18 and over, you know, when 18 over X was like already a
Dude,
tough.
I think
Yeah,
we were
for me
15X.
even.
I
Yeah.
think we were
16X.
17 and over at that time, and
Uh,
there was I think there was a point. Some guys would argue this, but I think there was some mains that we had where like the top four in that given main, maybe even more than that, maybe even deeper than that, on that given weekend could have raced AA Pro and made the main.
Yeah.
Well,
mean,
you
it was-
proved. I think you proved it.
Yeah, I mean there was
Well, and I
well,
think
I mean
we'll
I did
go,
we did a
again, we'll go
race.
forward and talk about that.
We did a race.
Right.
We did a race in. I would. This is another thing. I found a little newspaper cutout from a trip that I did to New Zealand, and Charles and I did a trip to New Zealand, and Charles was the pro on CW, and I was the amateur, and we did a trip and teaching clinics and stuff, and then we had to race. We raced each other, and dude, I beat him at the race, man. Mind you, I don't know. We were so far out in front, so he was kind of dead in the water with the way the track was laid out and stuff. And he was in first. He beat me down the first straightaway. He was way stronger than me. Turns are kind of flat, so I was just biding my time behind him, and there was nobody behind us to get in and like block me.
Right.
I could just ride wherever I wanted. So I just waited and waited and waited, and the last turn was really, really flat with a long last straightaway. So he had to go inside and block, and I just railed that flat turn and I out sprinted him down the last straightaway. But you know, our to the point, our amateur class, and if you look at the names, and I know I'll let you name those later on, Mike. There's a lot of guys that went on to have really successful pro careers with a lot of wins and a lot of Hall of Famers. And I mean, it was
titles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really, really stacked
And again,
amateur.
that class started when you were 15.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. I mean, it was. I mean, there was we were battling each other for a lot of years, man. And we were honed. You know, we were battle sharpened, and we were always banging into each other. Our amateur races were rough, man. We wrecked each other a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants EC in back of them, that's for sure. That's going to be short-lived for the most part. All right. All right. Just running down the bullets here real quick. I mean, you've got so many. I had to like pick and choose the things here. We would have been on the call all day doing this. Okay, so NBL won expert in cruiser and got national number 1 as a 16, 17, and 18 over X.
Yeah, that was 3 years in a row. I got
3 years in a row. Sick.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
expert in
crazy.
cruiser. Yeah.
ABA won the Grands as a cruiser in 85 and 86, won expert and open and got national number 1. Few accolades.
Tripled
You
that.
tripled that?
At the Grands, yeah. Me and Charles in the trophy dash. But I honestly think Charles let me win that one.
Oh.
Because I think as my big brother, I think he thought it. I know that he felt that the story would have been even cooler if I tripled that race. So
Look at that.
I don't think he gave me his best race in that trophy dash.
I don't think he would have pulled past you down the last straightaway.
No,
he would have said,
yeah, exactly.
God bless you, Charles Townsend. That's why we love you. Love you.
He was, dude, he was so fast. I I mean, I was fast that year as well. I was really fast that year as a 16-year-old, but Charles's acceleration when he was on Hutch was, dude, that
Unmatched.
I think that was when he was his fastest. I
Agreed.
think he was ridiculously
He was
fast.
super
His power to
fast.
weight ratio was insane. And dude, he was bonkers
I
fast.
watched a
Right.
video of him racing the World Championships in Slough, England,
Oh, dude.
and it was unbelievable the way he just pulled away from people, and it was just a matter of two pedals, and he would put a bike length between everyone else.
Yeah.
Two
His
pedals.
his leg speed was really, really, really fast, man. And that Slough race was really flat. So it was, I mean, you remember it, you pedaled all the way down the first straight, around the first turn. You didn't stop pedaling till the second turn, which was,
Two straightaways.
yeah, it was just one big, long, continuous
Long, yeah.
straightaway. That was a
And
funny
Charles
weekend,
was
man.
oh man, and that bike, and I'd swear that bike with the short back end
Yeah.
matched his power. Oh
Yeah, he was
So
phenomenal.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're the same age, so I raced him as an amateur, man. It was scary.
People,
Fucking guy.
when Charles got on Hutch, he got exposed to a whole nother side of the BMX world that didn't know that he existed, right? Because we were just, when we were on free agent, basically we were racing ABA.
And
We
West
weren't really,
Coast ABA, really.
Yeah.
Western,
yeah, I mean
but
we did a few NBL races, but the year when you got us on Hutch, Mike, and you brought
somebody
us
else saw his talent. Somebody else knew his talent.
to, when we went back east for the first time, like really went back east for the first time for summer tour, man, he was hurting people's feelings.
Yeah, I was one of
People
them.
that really didn't know about him, and he got on those long straightaway NBL tracks.
Oh, man.
Dude, he was destroying people.
I loved it. He was a really, really good teammate for me, man. Like, because we were brothers. We
Hey,
roomed
hold
together.
on. You know that question comes at you're the one that asked the question. You have to ask yourself the question at the end here.
Yeah.
All right,
It was-
last four things.
yes.
Named one of the 8 amateurs in Pros of the Future, along with Billy Griggs, Mikey, Hayden, Darwin Griffin, and Brad Birdwell. 3 consecutive years of terrible 10. I think you're the only one, I believe, that statistic. 3 years of terrible 10.
Yeah.
1988 hottest amateur, and then of course class of 2012 Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If only there was 11.
If there was only 11.
If it was just added one more.
That's a running joke with us and Judd.
Yeah.
Judd
Boy,
always
Judd Ciencio.
that
Terrible 11.
that first year, yeah, that first year, and we've said this before, Mike. Judd has an argument for that. But Gork put me on, man, and put me in there and kind of said, like, go prove it, you know. And he also said to the other people, if you didn't make it, go prove it. But he saw something, and man,
Yeah, you proved it.
I
mean,
proved it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by the end of the year, it showed that I was more than deserving to be in there.
Yeah. And we didn't talk, you had world championship titles.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I didn't have that. Apologies.
One not only dominated the entire time, and in a fashion, like you said, JV, for me and a lot of us, we loved it when he would hit the gate. Because
Oh,
we
yeah.
knew, oh man, now the race is exciting.
Yeah.
And it
We
was,
got
it was great. And
Oh my God. And behind in Louisville was the best. Any place EC behind is not leading in Louisville in Kentucky, you knew something was going to happen.
I didn't Louisville specifically, which was always my favorite track, and the way they designed the way the turns were designed and the way the entrances and the exits were laid out, if you knew how to ride the corners and you knew how to get the speed out of the corners, you could be just about anywhere minus riding the inside white line. You could still go fast out of there, but like if you're inside white line, your exit speed isn't there. But other than that, you could go just about anywhere. And man, for me, I mean, they couldn't have built a better track for me. It didn't matter. I could hit the gate and go through the pack. You know, Mikey was good. Mikey was really good at that as well. So I will say me and Mikey were, you know, one could argue that Mikey was as good or better than me at coming through the pack as well. And I think we both kind of honed our skills as young amateurs, right? I wasn't that good as an amateur. He was a good amateur, but he was racing other kids that were bigger and stronger than him. He was smaller, and so he was always coming from behind. And when you are coming from behind as an amateur, growing up all the time, you learn how to, you know, manipulate corners and figure out what's going on around you and read people's body language, you know, even like their hips and their shoulders. You can read what people are going to do and where they're going to go in a corner by just looking at their back and how they position themselves and figure out where they're going to go. So yeah, you learn that stuff when you come from the back as a Grom. And then when you get stronger and you start getting better starts, then you have the complete package.
And you went a long time without getting good starts.
Dude, I was afraid to get this is going to sound funny. I was afraid to get good starts, man. When I was an amateur, I was a little bit afraid of the
pressure of having people behind you.
No, the banging of bars going down the first straightaway and wrecking.
There was a lot of that. And JV, you know, JV raced on the same kind of track. Braddock was narrow, and it got narrow quick. A lot of our tracks did the same thing, JV. We weren't used to the super wide NBL tracks.
Right.
So there was a lot of banging of bars going down the first straightaway.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't like that, man. I didn't, it scared me. And so for me, dude, it's crazy, man. My very first race was at Irvine, and I was so afraid of that start hill that I wasn't going to race. And they said, just let the gate fall and let everybody go, and then follow them down the start hill, and then at the bottom see how you could do it. And I did. I literally would sit in the gate would fall. I'd look both ways to make sure everybody left, and then I would go down the start hill, but I passed everybody on the track.
And so it began.
Yeah.
And so it began.
Yeah, I didn't like the banging of that stuff, man. And it took me a while. It took me till I got to be like 12 or 13 years old to where I was like started being comfortable, you know, being that close to people and banging bars and being okay with crashing on the first straight sometimes.
Hey, just a quick break to hear a little info from our sponsor or friends. Please like, subscribe, and follow us. Make a comment. We love all that stuff. All right.
Hey guys, this is Rusty Roberts, Texas BMX Hall of Fame. We're proud to announce the Texas Classic will be held on Saturday, March 15th in DeSoto, Texas. We will be part of the DeSoto weekend, have modern races. We've built a custom track for vintage with a over and under bridge. Come join us for racing, bike show, and swap meet. On that Saturday, Mike Hollywood Miranda will be here to join us. We're looking forward to that. Come see us.
Man, you better bring trouble, because if you're not, I'm bringing a bag full. Well, listen, there's another subject that we normally cover with our guests that we want to cover with you. So you started off in 77.
78.
78, the local tracks in Southern California. What were you riding as far as a bicycle?
My first race, I borrowed a Race Inc. Yeah.
Way to start off strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Shitty bike.
Yeah. So it was a borrowed Race Inc., which was pretty cool. I don't know. My first race was in a very, very small league called BMXL or BMX League. And that was literally tight Southern California. Not like Southern California is a big area. It was a very small area of Southern California that we raced in. Like it wasn't San Diego or anything like that. It was just Orange County.
And a small part of LA.
Yeah. La Mirada was, And so.
And instead of a number on your plate, or a letter, it was the color of your plate.
Yep.
So if you were Orange County, you had an orange number plate.
So yeah, I mean it was crazy, man. So we had
I think there were
started
three
there.
color plates. That's it, 3 colors.
Yep. And I started on a Race Inc. and then did my first race and liked it And then so we ended up getting a power light. My first purchase bike was a power light from Steve Rink. It was we went with that because I got my start in BMX from the Fay family, which is Bill and Patty Fay. Bill was the president of the BMX league. I just by chance happened to be on the same soccer team as Brent Fay. So we played soccer together in our local league, our local AYSO league, and my dad was racing off-road cars at the time. So Bill Fay and my dad got to talking about racing and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you got to bring him out. He'll do this BMX stuff. It's going to be cool. He'll have a good time." And so first race we went out to La Mirada, and I didn't race because I was too afraid to ride down the start hill.
Yeah, that's funny.
I literally didn't race. And so
That's so funny.
so then we go to the next race, right? And they only raced on Sundays. That was it. Like there was no midweek racing. We just raced on Sundays. So the next race was at Irvine. So we show up and this start hill's bigger. and my parents were like, "You're racing. This is the second time we've come to this stuff. You're gonna roll down that start hill and you're gonna race." So that's how we came about. Let them all go. You can drag your brakes down the start hill and get to the bottom of the thing and then go after them. Yeah, a power light. Bill Fay and Brent Fay was on power light at the time, so they were working with the rinks, and so that's how we got our first power light.
Plus, Mr. Fay was a off-road racer, and your dad were off-road racers. They weren't going to put you on some jalopy. That thing was, it was a race bike.
It was a good race bike for the time. Yeah, it was. Power lights were well respected.
Yeah,
especially for junior riders. It was a great bike to have.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. I couldn't believe it, and it was so shiny, man. Chrome with the red, white, and black stickers on it. I mean, it was like, dude, when I got that thing, I was like, so.
And then what happened?
Yeah, I rode for those. I had a power light jersey. I wasn't really on the factory team, but I had and I was still. I mean, with BMXL, you race your first race. Well, if you get one win, you go from beginner to novice. So I won my first race, then I was novice, and then after that, it was 10 wins, and I won the next 10 races as a novice. So I had 11 races in. I'm an expert.
On his second race, he put his feet on the pedals on the first straightaway. I'm sure.
Yeah. And then I got my ass handed to me after that because I got into expert faster than I should have, and there was a big learning curve there, man. So, but I ended up number 5 for the year in points because they counted your beginner and novice points, and Pistol Pete actually was the number 1 rider that year.
Oh man!
I think a guy named Mark Rudis was second. Mike Horton was in the mix there as well. But that BMX league, when you look at an old points rundown of who was racing the BMX league, dude, there was some hitters in that league, man.
Yeah.
Before ABA ended up buying them and kind of consuming the whole BMX league thing. But yeah, that was a great league to start in, man. It was fun, man. The tracks were so fun. Santa Ana Elks.
Because they only raced on Sundays, it was a big family atmosphere.
Yeah, man. La Mirada, Santa Ana Elks, Fountain Valley, Irvine,
Westminster.
Yeah, they were fun, man. And the atmosphere was really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, first Reich was a power light.
And then you went to what? Then
I rode that for a while. My next bike was a JMC. Yeah, my next bike was a JMC. Right.
So far, not sucking.
Right.
No, my next bike was a JMC. I was a co-fact. No, I'm sorry, that wasn't. My next bike was a GT.
Oh,
that's right. I wasn't on GT, but I got a GT. I actually got the Shockleys
Yep.
were I don't remember. Todd was Robbie Shockley was the kid that raced. I forget the dad's name.
Mr. Shockley.
It was Mr. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
And
Shockley.
Mr. Shockley was the team manager for a bit.
But he was also the welder. He
Yeah,
welded
he
those
worked
things
there,
in his
yeah.
garage,
Oh,
right? So we went to the Shockley's house and we got what I was told was a custom GT that was made for Robbie. It was an extra, and we ended up getting that. So it had holes in the seat tube that were for the cantilever brakes, and some other stuff on it.
Wow.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So
Is
I wrote a
that, is
G.
that, is that in your garage still?
I wish. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that went. I would love to have kept those bikes, man. But yeah, I rode a GT for 2 years when I was maybe 10, 10 and 11 or 11 and 12, something like that. And then I got on the JMC. And that was a co-factory deal. That was my mom called Jim and they had that's when the Black Shadow came out. So I got a Black Shadow with a co-factory jersey type deal. So I was still just a co-factory little grown guy. And then I raced on that for a year or two. And then I got on VDC. So I rode for Boris for a couple of years. Boris is an interesting guy. And he was a really fun guy to ride for, man. We got to go to his shop and look at all the shit that he was welding and do all that stuff. But I mean, he would invite my mom and myself and a couple others, and Yvonne would go down like Orange. The city of Orange has a street fair, so he'd go down there and take us to the street fair and buy us sausages and all the stuff. I mean, stuff
Corn
outside
dog.
of the BMX world, right?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed riding for Boris, man, and it was interesting to see the shop and see all the stuff that he did. So
How did that go down?
I don't know how I ended up getting on that team. He just ran his team basically out of the Orange Y, and I was a pretty fast local guy there were faster guys than me at Orange Y that were getting picked up by the factory like the bigger factory teams. And so I think I was like the best of what was available for Boris. And so, he put me on the program and Robbie Del Pozo was on the team. McGrath was on our team. Who else was on that team? Bobby Caldera was on the team. I think Brent Shoup was actually on VDC for a little bit. So there was a couple of us, man. We were decently fast guys, but we weren't killing it at the nationals, man. Mostly because our frames were so damn heavy.
God, those were heavy.
Yeah.
The bikes are really
what's
heavy.
funny to me is they were absolutely unique. They were
Totally. Yeah, they were
pierced
really
head
cool.
tubes. The
Yeah.
pierced head tube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Pierce head tubes are really cool and really unique. But the problem was that because it was a Pierce head tube, that we had to run basically like 10-speed head tubes. So we had 10-speed headsets, and we would crack those things all the time. We were always replacing those.
Yeah,
I still have.
We'll have to put a picture up. So the VDCs had the top tube and the down tube stuck out of the front, and then the steerer went through those tubes. It was pierced all the way through.
Yeah.
It was totally different. The Changa.
I have, and I still, I have.
Come on, JV.
Dude,
I had a cruiser. I had a VDT cruiser.
Yeah, had is the key in the sentence.
Yeah.
I have.
Now EC is going to use the word have.
I know. Jeez.
I know all the collectors out there. I've got 2 VDC cruisers. I have, I think, 1 or 2 of my Changa frames. I got some bars.
Unbelievable.
And then I have a really rare, unbuilt, I never put it together, freestyle frame. And I think it's stamped like number 7 or something.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, those are good. I think those are going to do pretty good on the open market.
Yeah, in 40 or 50 years when your son decides he's going to sell.
So
Yeah.
I think he's warming up to
Jesus.
the idea.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
so
I
I
want
was
to
on,
say
yeah, I was
something.
on VDC, and then Boris decided he wasn't going to have a team.
Didn't
He was
Didi
making
race
too
for
much money.
VDC?
What's that?
Didi Leone raced for VDC, didn't he?
I
Never?
don't think so.
I don't think he did. I don't know. I wasn't aware of it if he did.
I think
I thought
Hans
you-
Nifton did.
Hans
Han-
Nissen did. That's
Oh
right.
man,
Nissen did.
you
Hans, that is
Hmm.
right. Hans
I
Nissen
will
was.
say this: I don't think he. I think what happened was Vorta saw that he made more money making frames for everybody else that didn't cost him to make a team. Because
right.
a team, even co-sponsor, it costs you money.
Yeah.
Where, dude, he made frames for everybody.
Yeah. He was.
And not only that, for a lot of people, they end up making, like he started CW. He made CWs.
Yeah.
He made free agents. He made a lot of frames for the smaller companies that that we don't know about now.
Yeah.
But when Roger at CW started his factory and started not making them at VDC and making his own, Roger took a lot of that business.
Mm.
And he started making small run frames too. But it was incredible, man. Boris made everybody's frame.
Yeah.
He was the guy. He was definitely the guy.
guy.
And you're exactly right, Mike. He just having the team didn't make sense from a financial standpoint because at that time, man, he was so busy. He was at capacity, you know.
It took money out of his pocket to
Yeah.
make frames for himself.
Yeah,
Right.
Because he could just keep barreling through. And as these other companies got bigger, like Free Agent, CW,
Mm.
Yeah,
You
he
just
was at
couldn't-
capacity, man. He was running as fast as he could. He was manufacturing as fast as he could. So he decided he was not going to have the team. And then I went to that ABA Grands in '84. I actually just went to my local Honda dealership and I just had a Honda jersey. I just put
Went to the
old,
Grands
like
in a Honda jersey.
vintage red, white, and blue Honda jersey. I still have that thing, man. And I just wore a Honda jersey, man. And in a pair of jeans. And then after that, that's when I got on Co-Factory. For the following year, '85, I started '85 as Co-Factory free agent, and then went to the first race, and then
Yeah.
we know this.
That's
we know
awesome.
that story.
Yeah. So I made a mistake there. Vector, not
Yeah,
VDC.
he was on Vector. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, how about what was the VDC T-shirt? I remember it. It had a prostitute on a motel bed, and she was wearing fishnet stockings. And
Oh my gosh.
it had something to do about VDC. And I
Oh
remember
my.
no, I remember and this is when I was like 14 or 15. And I remember seeing the T-shirt and trying to figure it all out, and it had like the little quarter vibrating thing on the nightstand. I was like, I don't understand all this. And then the first time I went on a trip with CW, we stayed at one of those motels, and
Yeah.
I saw the thing on the nightstand, and I was like, oh, I know what it's for now.
I don't remember the T-shirt, but knowing Voris, it's about right, man. He had a witty and funny sense of humor, and he didn't care. He didn't care what people thought about him, and he didn't care. He just didn't care.
He's a welder.
He's a welder.
Yeah.
And he just had fun with it. So for him, he's it's kind of like Moeller, right? It's just like, dude, it's just bikes. Like, I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna make these things, and if people get mad, so be it. Who cares?
In the words of JV,
So it was fun, right? That's why it was fun, because Boris didn't care about projecting this pro image or anything like that. We just had a good time, man. Like I said, we'd go to Orange County Street Fair and they'd drink beers and crack jokes, and I was just tagging along, kind of listening and having a good time, man. I love it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Really cool.
So that's when you went from Boris Dixon to free agent.
That's right. Yeah. And then it was free agent for a year, which was,
you tore it up on free agent though.
It was a good year, man. I had some good races. I was still still figuring out my racecraft, but I was learning and getting, I guess I was getting more comfortable with the pressure.
Mm.
You know, Jason Richardson, Dr. Jason Richardson posted something the
Yep.
other day that talks about the pressure and the responsibility of success. And that's a real thing, man. And so I think there was a time period where I was probably good enough to be winning races, but I wasn't sure if I wanted the responsibility, because when you win, then people expect you to win.
Yep.
You put the expectation on yourself and it builds this pressure, right? On free agent, I was tired of not winning and seeing other people get what I felt like I should be getting, which is wins at races and stuff and some recognition. And that was the light switch for me. But as I was going on free agent, I was still learning how to manage the pressure and the responsibility of that. And I think winning the world championships in Canada was a big breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a lapse at the Grands in '85 when I went in leading. I think I was leading points or I was second. But basically, if I would have won the weekend, I would have got the amateur title. And that's when Doug Davis was really, really messing with me and like in practice slamming my bike and telling me,
Oh.
yeah, he was head gaming me pretty hard, and it got to me, man. I didn't make it out of my quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just following
I
behind.
never knew that.
Yeah, it was a quarter. There was 8. It was when we had 8-man quarters, and they were only taking 3. And Lonnie Tatton, a guy, rest in peace, Lonnie, but a guy that I raced all the time at local races, and I could at that time I had gotten faster than Lonnie, and I was able to pretty much ride around him when I needed to. He was a savvy racer with a lot of experience, but I could beat Lonnie when I needed to. And dude, I just rode around the whole lap, just staring at his back. And I remember
Whoa.
coming across the finish line and sitting there just going, "What the hell did you just do, dude? You just followed Lonnie the whole race. You didn't even try to pass him, you know?" And I didn't make the cut. And so yeah, that was a lapse, but I think that was a necessary thing for me. That was really, really, really important to happen. And I think, Mike, I think you were already talking to my parents about me being on the team. And I think you went over to my parents and me and said, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. Basically, it's okay that he didn't make the main. It's okay. I still believe in him. And so I think I was worried that I maybe had lost that opportunity. I won the Open that race. So I went out and won the Open and you know, kind of redeem myself a little bit, but it really, really, really lit a fire under my ass, especially.
I felt guilty. I felt like I had done that to you.
No.
Like
Yeah,
put
I
too much
felt like
pressure
I had,
on.
you know, by telling you, hey, listen, I would like to, you know, I'm making this new. Hutch gave me permission. I'm doing this thing, and I felt guilty.
Doug, I will say, Doug, you know, Doug messing with me at Grands, it really got into my head, man. It did. And it made me question, right? And it made me question myself. And it put, I had a little bit of a, you know, I wasn't seasoned enough, man. It was my first year of winning nationals. It was my first year dealing with that pressure. And it got to me and it made me question and get out of my game, right? So his head games worked. He got me. But it also, that moment that he did that, and it lit a fire under my ass that lasted for 4 years, man.
Yeah.
Like I was really, when I got home, I was really, really, really mad. And I started training the day I got home. And I was, dude, mad. Like, and then when I get that way, man, when I get mad at things like that, not spiteful isn't the right word, but like, dude, I get laser focused and I get really, really gnarly. And so that, I mean,
Thank you, Harry Larry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because Harry was the one that taught all those kids to do that.
Yeah, right.
Jason told me about that. He said that, yeah, Harry sat them all down when they got on Diamondback and said, "This, you have no more friends. If you're not wearing a black and silver jersey, you have no friends.
Yeah.
You have to hate the people on the gate."
Dude, it was gnarly, man. We were in practice and I was sitting, you know, you're all stacked up, getting ready to get on the gate, you know, for practice, and he was behind me and he just goes, bam, and slams the back of my bike really hard. And it kind of like, oh my gosh. And I turned around and he looked just right at me, dead through my eyes, and was like, you don't have what it takes, man. He goes, you're going to choke. You suck, dude. There's no way you're getting that title. And I was like, dude, Doug Davis, this guy who's kind of like a guy that I looked up to, was like, oh, and it just got me, man.
And what year was that?
I was 85.
And who got the title that year?
85 was Brent Romero, I think.
Diamondback rider.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah. And so he got me. But on the backside of that, I'm grateful for it. I think things happen for a reason. I think that was really an important thing, and I'm grateful for it because of what it created, right?
I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
Had you tripled at the Grands, you might have been a Diamondback rider. You might have been you were probably going to be a GT rider.
Yeah, that could have been that. I mean, there was a number of things. But I do know that next year of 86, and you got to see it firsthand, Mike, how
And JV saw firsthand too.
I mean, dude, I just wanted to win races, and I wanted to show everybody, because I was embarrassed by the performance of the Grands, and I just wanted to show everybody. So, dude, I would sprint. I'd be winning races, and I would still sprint the last straightaway just to stretch out the win. Like I wanted to demoralize the guys that I was racing. Because I was so upset about I carried that with me, man.
Right.
I carried that embarrassment of not doing good at 85 Grands, choking horribly. And I was like, that ain't happening again, man. This shit. And so that year, 86, man, I won.
You were on a pro racer, Hutch pro racer.
Dude.
Stock.
Yeah. So
Stock Hutch pro racer.
And I won the NBL Cruiser and 20 title. I won the ABA amateur title. I won the USBA, which was a league they did for a year. I won that amateur title. And then I won the Cruiser and 20 at World Championships. And then at the time, Gold Cup was something. And I won the Gold Cup title as well.
Yeah.
Because I know Redmond used to always, whenever I would show up at the track, he'd pull all the grumps. He's like, you don't understand. This guy won 7 titles in 1 year.
Yeah.
And he would tell the whole story, man. But it just, dude, that was born out of 85 Grands. That fire and hate was just like, dude, I am going to win some races this year. I'm going to show people that was a fluke thing that happened.
So you went on to ride just a stock pro racer.
That was not, no, I wrote it. Well, I did at the start, but then.
And then somewhere in the year, you made a change.
I switched over to the judge.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I heard you talk about this. Yeah.
And the first one was a white one?
Yes. Yeah.
You wrote a white one for a better. Remember that.
No, the first one was a blue one.
Oh.
I had a blue one. I rode the stalker at the start. I mean, I rode that thing for like a month or maybe a little bit longer than that. Then I had a blue one. And then
it was with the one-piece cranks, right?
Then I had the green crank. Then I had the green one.
Yeah, but with one-piece cranks.
One-piece cranks.
One-piece cranks.
You might be the last person on the cover of a magazine with one-piece cranks. You're certainly the last world champion with one-piece cranks.
So I had the green one for a while, and then we switched out to the white one, and then I kind of rode the white one. I rode the white one out it was all white. It was white with white rims and white Hutch hubs and the white seat and white grips, white bars, the whole thing. It was just a completely whited out bike. And that was kind of the one that I ended on was the white one. Yeah.
Okay. So you're off, then the demise of the Hutch program. And then what?
Yeah.
What bike did you ride next?
The demise of the Hutch program ended. And then that was 86. 87, I went to the first race actually as a privateer on BC.
Yeah, that's what it has here, BC.
Yeah, and I rode that race. There was a one race at the Orange Show Fairgrounds in San Bernardino, and I it was 17 and over, and I just turned, and that was when the class was just stacked, man. So I ended up winning that weekend. So my first weekend as a 17, it was a big thing back in the day when you when you aged up in AM class. It was like, oh man, he's gonna have a couple of months of getting his ass kicked, and I won that weekend. And Mike Donnell was there, and he was like, dude, you're coming over. You're going to be on CW. So
Did you win it on the White Hutch?
I think I was still on the White Hutch. Yeah. And then so Mike ended up putting me on CW. They had, I don't know who, there was another amateur my age on the team. I don't know if it was Riblet or Donovan McCurdy. I don't know. There was somebody my age that they had already gotten, but I think Mike saw like, yeah, we made a mistake there. We're gonna we're gonna get this guy. He's gonna get us some team points, and
He
we're
had
plugging
probably
him in.
had that conversation with Riblet or whoever
Yeah,
before the grands or during the grands in that time frame, and already made the commitment to him,
yeah,
and then found out about you and the Hutch program, and
yeah.
probably
So
what
I
happened.
got yep. So I ended up getting on CW, and that was a great time. We had a great team. I was teammates again with
Chooch.
Charles. So yeah, that was awesome. Had another great year. Um, Won the NBL Cruiser 20 title, and then uh, Worlds was in Florida, which was Orlando, which was awesome. I mean, I think for me that was probably like the Worlds in England was pretty cool because it was my first European race, but the Worlds on home turf and going to Orlando, and I remember people were saying like, you know, Corbett is he has Orlando, and basically nobody was going to beat TC in that class. And you know, I just took it as a challenge. And so I ended up beating TC. We the footage is pretty awesome. Like we went into the first turn together. I was actually on the outside of the first turn. He had the inside line on me, and I went out and kind of went off the berm, and then I came back and kind of turned into him and bumped him off me and made some room for myself going into the next corner. Like if I hadn't done that, he would have pinched me off and he would have beat me for sure. But I came off the berm and kind of, hey, give me some space here. And then I think it startled him a little bit, and I was able to get into the spot that I needed to be in and take it home, which was huge for me. That was a big. Even though I had won worlds the 2 years before in the age class, you know, I was not picked to beat TC there because he was so dang fast on that track.
But I guess I gotta say, going from a judge to a CW, a
Yeah,
dramatic change in geometry.
it was. The head angle on the judge was steep, and the back end was really short. That bike was really, really fast and twitchy, I guess. Um, I loved it at the time. And it really, obviously I did good things on it and I won a lot of races on it. But I think the CW was a little bit more neutral with the cornering, and the head angle was in a little bit better spot, and it was uh, things didn't happen. Yeah, it was a little bit, I think it was a little bit better for not having crazy stuff happen. The Hutch, man, it was so twitchy, and it was good, but whew.
For the making turns in the middle of turns.
Yeah, you literally could make turns in the middle of the turns on the Hutch, man. It was really good. And it was good for, you know, like that horse barn racing that we were racing in.
Yeah.
It was good for that, but when, you know, for the bigger tracks, the South Parks and the Louisvilles, man, I think the CW was a lot better bike for those fast, high speed courses with those big long berms.
So here's where you lose me.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened after this. I wasn't following anymore.
Yeah.
I followed your CW career, but then what happened?
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a time where we were on CW, and then we got to RevCore. They put us on RevCore,
Yeah.
which I actually thought those team kits were really awesome. The colorways. I liked everything about that. But I got an offer from Schwin to race for those guys. And it was, dude, it was substantially more. I mean, like a lot more. Um, I actually found my old contracts going through my mom's paperwork. I didn't find my Schwinn contract yet, but I found my old CW. And I think I was getting at CW, I was getting like 300 a month plus bonuses. Man,
Did you get that right off the bat, or was that after some
yeah,
time? Okay.
that was my contract to ride for those guys.
Okay.
So it was 300 bucks a month plus bonuses and contingencies and stuff like that. Which was good. I was an amateur. I was getting paid as an amateur, and I was doing well with the contingencies. I was winning races, and so I made some decent money. But the Schwinn deal was they wanted me to be an amateur, and then they were building me into being a pro. And so they were paying me kind of a pro wage, man. I think I was like 2,000 a month.
Ooh,
as an amateur.
Amateur.
Yeah, and then I have bonuses. I mean, it was a substantial. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But there was no team. I didn't have.
It was you, right?
It was me. Yeah, there's no team.
Yeah.
So it was just me, man. And that's where we, like it was.
Filling out that team sheet was easy. Filling out the team sheet was a piece of cake.
Yeah. So
Open cruiser.
What bike are you riding, EC?
Well, I started out on like a Predator.
Okay, like a real Predator?
Yeah, it was horrible. And then
It
really was bad.
You could just go down the street and get another one. Any city every city in America,
literally,
had a bike shop had a Predator.
So that was pretty bad. And then so BC Dave, he ended up taking the Predator and chopping it all up. Some guy, I don't know, maybe he took divorce, I don't know, but he got it welded up, shortened the rear end on it, made some adjustments to the bike and got it to be it was still the front center was still too short for me, but we got it to be like competitive. And so I was able to get in the mix on that bike. I still have that frame in my garage, actually. So
what did they copy?
I have no idea, man.
Okay.
Because it wasn't, they didn't make a bike. They took an existing bike and cut it apart and then re-welded it.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So they made adjustments to an existing frame.
It was called the chop suey.
Yeah. So yeah, I rode that thing, and then halfway through, I happened to be, and there's a picture in the magazine about this. It's called the Schwin Way or something like that. That Gork coined the name of it. But I happened to be at Richard Bartlett's house and digging through his garage, and Richie Anderson was living with him, and there was a old Skyway up in the rafters, and I was on my way to the Lemoore National. Like I just happened to stop at Bartlett's house a day or two before, and then I was going to keep going on my way up. So we pulled that thing out of the rafters, and I'm like, dude, I want to try that. This Schwinn is too short for me, man. So we put that thing together. I'm like, oh, dude, I like this. Keep in mind, I'm 5'10" on a good day with thick soles. and
work boots.
Richie's tall, dude. It was a big bike.
Yeah.
And but we put it together, and it was bigger than the one I had. And so I was like, dude, I'm going to race this thing. So we rattle canned that thing and put it together, and I went racing on that thing. And I wasn't on a Schwinn, but there was nobody on Schwinn to really like.
Yeah.
Your team captain didn't notice.
Yeah. So
you were the team captain.
Yeah. So I raced on that Skyway for, I don't know, a bunch of months. And then at the end of the year, that whole program fell apart. This was crazy, man. They were going to do this situation where, I turned pro. That was 89. Yeah, it was 89. And I turned pro at the Grands while I was on Schwinn. After that, they they were working out a deal with Carnation Milk, and they were trying to get our team sponsored by Carnation Milk. And they asked Carnation Milk for.
Hey, just a quick break to hear a little info from our sponsor or friends. Please like, subscribe, and follow us. Make a comment. We love all that stuff. All right.
Hey guys, Rusty Roberts coming back to you for the big vintage weekend we have planned. As you know, Saturday, March 15th is the Texas Classic, but we roll into Sunday with the vintage Oklahoma Texas Shootout. We're getting together with our guys from Oklahoma to run a race series. In DeSoto, Texas, the first stage will be Sunday on March 16th, bringing back the heritage of Oklahoma-Texas rivalry. It will be held on Sunday morning. We're going to start at 9 a.m. and we're going to have vintage race, bike show, and swap meet. Then we come into May 17th. We're going to be in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Cash, take it out.
Man, I'm excited about this, Rusty. The Oklahoma Texas Classic, first held in 1981, and another opportunity for Oklahoma to demolish Texas, or the other way around. However it happens, we're all brothers in the end, and it's going to be a good time. So the Texas Classic, March 16, Okie Shootout, March 17th, and then we move over to Stillwater, Oklahoma, the home of the legendary Guy Cooper. Will be hosted at Cooperland, and this is going to be a great event. On May 17th, we'll have our collector's show, and then the Texas side, Texas-Oklahoma shootout part on the 18th. We're going to continue the show, and we'll have another racers event on that day as well. Come on out, Stillwater, Oklahoma, May 17 and 18. Guy Cooper, legendary Eddie King will be joining us. Rusty Roberts will be there, and the legendary Guy Cooper, man, if you haven't seen his museum, you've missed out. And for all you guys over 45, this is your moment to get back out on a bike, have some fun with your friends, and see if you really are the GOAT. So we're excited to have you. Come on down.
Yeah, I was 89. And I turned pro at the Grands while I was on Schwin. After that, they were working out a deal with Carnation Milk. And they were trying to get our team sponsored by Carnation Milk. And they asked Carnation Milk for, I think it was like $300,000 or something. And Carnation came back at half, like 150 grand. And Schwin said, no, we're good. That's not enough for us. And they folded the team.
Wow.
So we just didn't go racing. I'd always.
Wait, who was on the team then?
Just me.
Oh, so they folded.
Yeah, like they could have just given me the 150 grand.
I thought you were talking about yourself in the plural.
So they were like, sorry,
The
team's
royal
done.
we.
Yeah. So they just didn't go, we didn't go racing. And so I didn't have a sponsor, and I had just turned pro, right? So like,
yeah.
And believe it or not, man, I could not get, and this is when there was kind of a downturn in the BMX world, right? It was 1990.
Right.
Dude, I couldn't get a team to sponsor me, man. My sponsor was Titan.
Yeah.
That's who I could get to sponsor me. And it was not a money deal.
Yeah. To get you to the races?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those bikes sucked ass. It was horrible, man. Dude, I felt like a horse jockey on that thing. You know, like you see where horse jockeys' feet, they're like way up, the racers, their feet are like way up on the side of the horse. That's how high the bottom bracket was on that Titan.
Yeah, but you could pedal through the moguls.
Oh, dude, yeah, I could pedal through anything. Like a lift kit on that shit. So the bike was horrible, and it just didn't
work for you
on that thing.
Yeah.
So I rode it for a little bit, and then I said, man, this is for the birds. I'm not riding this bike. This is just compromising my ability to build value for myself.
Right.
So I went and I did I rode for Redmond for a while. And I think I was back on the Skyway for that. And then at the end of that year, I think I did the Brackens deal.
Yeah.
I got on Tommy's stuff, rode for Brackens, and then went to Grands. And then that's when Purse cleaned me out and I started kicking him and I got DQ'd. But you know, that year was just I ended up getting number 2 in the NBL series that year. So I was
Yeah.
number 2 pro that year, which is most people would
It's great.
be like,
Yeah,
wow,
it's
dude, what a great
fantastic, but-
rookie season. But
Yeah.
I was over it, man. I just was over dealing with trying to get a sponsor. And
Yeah.
so I bought a motorcycle and I raced motorcycles. I just completely hung it up and I rekindled my relationship or friendship with McGrath.
Yeah.
I bought a motorcycle. I just would go to his house and ride motorcycles and was thinking I was going to be a supercross star. So I
Yeah.
raced motorcycles for 2 years. I'd race Cole Canyon, A Pro. I reclassed to A Pro and I'd race Cole Canyon every year when the national would come to town and clean up there and get beer money.
Yeah.
Basically what I would do. And, you know, and it wouldn't turn me double A because I just
Yeah.
one weekend.
Yeah. You became that journeyman.
I was.
That's right.
I
That's
was
right.
like, dude, I can use, you know, if I can finish top 3 both days and make pro open, man, I can get $1,500 of beer money, man. That goes a long ways.
Yeah.
Gas money for the motorcycle.
It was. So I did that for a couple of years. And, you know, admittedly, I was drinking beers more than I should have and
Yeah.
hanging out with the Supercross crew at that time. You know, Supercross was a much different sport at the time. Those guys were racing bikes, racing motorcycles, and partying on the weekends, and that they weren't racing and having a good time. And that was fun, man. I enjoyed that, and I needed that little bit of a reprieve.
Yeah.
Who were you hanging out with then?
Well, I was hanging out with Jeremy, and then but also it was weird. Like Jeremy was not. There was like 2 camps. Jeremy was kind of on his own, and then there was a group of like the Albrechts and Buddy Antonez and Jeff Emig, Dana Wiggins and Billy Feltz, who used to race BMX, was now racing motorcycles. So that was a
JMC
different
rider,
crew.
yeah.
Yeah.
JMC rider.
That was kind of a different crew. I was friends with both of them. And but yeah, long story short, man, I was at 90, what was that, 91. We were having beers. This was real late night. It was probably like 1:32 in the morning. And the Albrechts had this house that their mom lived there some of the time, I think, but not all the time. And so they were just teenage kids that had this house in Ritchie Canyon, really nice custom home. And it was just a party house. So we were sitting there, and me and Jeremy Albrecht, who now is like the head director of the AMA now, I guess, but he ran the JGR Supercross team for a bunch of years. He just flat out said to me, he goes, dude, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean, man? We're just drinking beers, hanging out. He's like, no, dude, what are you doing? He goes, you're like these guys tell me you're like some really fast bike rider. Like you're good at racing bikes. What are you doing on motorcycles? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna race Supercross. He just started laughing, dude. Like literally, like out loud, right? I mean, we're drunk. We're sitting campfire side. It's just me and him. Everybody had gone to bed. He goes, dude, you're not gonna race Supercross, man. I don't know what you're thinking. And I'm like, what? And he goes, dude, listen, let me break it down for you. And he started going down from the age, and he's like, see all these guys? Like he was Emig's mechanic at the time, and all these guys were like, Billy Phelps was racing and mechanicking at the time. These were all guys that had tried to make it as a pro and didn't. And he was like, basically, he was like, if you kill it and don't get hurt and don't run out of money, you're not going to even be in Supercross till you're like 29 or 30.
Huh.
And he said, but you're not even good enough. He's like,
Just
yeah, he was like, all of us are way better than you at riding motorcycles. And we didn't make it. He goes, dude, stop wasting your time. I mean, it was a really necessary conversation that good friends will have that talk with you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, around that time was the Cole Canyon National again. I went and raced there, and I won. And that's when Clay Goldsmith said, hey, man, And I used to race Clay, and he
Yeah.
hurt his back, so he wasn't racing anymore. He started hyper, and he goes, why don't you be on the team? If you go to the Grands, I'll pay your expenses to go to the Grands you race for me. I said, oh, okay, man, I'll go. I was friends with Billy Harrison at the time, who was also on hyper.
Yeah.
I went to the Grands, raced there. I don't know if I won or not. I don't know exactly what place I got, but did well enough. And Clay said, I'm going to sponsor you for the next year. I'm going to give you expenses and contingency. So my first year on hyper, which was 93, was that. It was no salary, just expenses and contingency. But dude, I won. I ended up winning the NBL Pro Title out of retirement. And
Yeah. Sometimes I think of these teams that invested a lot of money in their pros, and you're like, did you ever see one of those bikes that anyone rode? You know,
right.
like, God, even Huffy for the most part, right? You're like, what expert other than Mikey, like rode a Huffy or
Yeah, they
Brent?
did.
You know,
Yeah, no,
like,
they did. It didn't really go, but
right?
Yeah, it didn't go. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And
I mean, if you go back to the first Murray team, the first Huffy team. I'm sorry, the first Huffy team. Those guys were all riding something different.
yeah,
But I think that's kind of it. I mean, just all of the people that have raced through, the 80s, especially with some of these teams that you're like, those are, they got a lot of money. It's awesome to be on the team. But if the object is to sell race bikes, did they really sell a lot of race bikes? No. But maybe the object was to sell more Kmart bikes. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
And EC is definitely has been part of that world.
Yeah.
Both worlds, and EC going on to his phenomenal mountain bike career, carried that forward right into the next one, and has been I'd venture to say that EC is one of the most influential people in the bicycle industry when you stop and think about it, because he rode for Schwin and then went on to ride for Hyper, and then built, basically helping build a Hyper brand, or getting them into Walmart, and then helping them build their mountain bikes into the Walmart program. It's just, you can't, even though he's behind the scenes, is one of the most influential people in the bicycle industry.
It's amazing. I can't believe they got the terrible 10 wrong with you in there. I don't know how they messed that up.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you shouldn't have
Just,
been, should have been in there. Shouldn't have made it.
Nah, there's no way.
I can see why everyone argued against it.
With what
So I rode BMX and mountain bikes again in 94, and 95 for Barracuda, but halfway through 95, I was done. I don't even think I was riding for Hyper in 95. So I think I only raced a couple of races in 95, BMX, and I just kind of was transitioning my way all the way into mountain bikes.
And that was really kind of the end of your BMX career, but launched into a phenomenal mountain bike career.
Yeah, 95 Bakersfield was the last race that I can remember, BMX race I did. I think I got second at that national. Ellis beat me.
JV. Yeah, see, I'm not really racing. I just, there's a local national, so I went and I signed up for pro. I got second. Ellis beat me.
So,
crazy.
Crazy.
It is.
Did you ride up to Matt Hayden and go, "Hey, you need to practice"?
If you think, I mean, when you put it in those terms, yeah, it's a little, it's kind of cool to think about, that I was able to still ride it at a level.
Yeah.
But really,
no surprise to me at all. No surprise to me at all.
I was a competitor, right? Like I'd battle. I like to battle. I hated to lose, right? And so, but my heart really wasn't in, like, it wasn't in it in the way that it needed to be in it. And one of the things I started to notice, man, is I started riding mountain bikes more, and I was falling more in love with the mountain bike circuit, racing in mountain towns, having a set schedule where it's like your practice is from 12 to 2, and then you don't have to sit in the horse barn for the whole weekend, right? Like it was a really structured thing that made it really simple to like do other stuff. So like you could, or let's say our practice was from 9 to 12, right? You could go practice from 9 to 12, and then you could go you could go to the creek and sit in the creek, or you could go see something at the mountain. Like you didn't have to be there all day, right?
Yeah.
So
JV, your options were sit in the villa in Switzerland in the mountains, or the Marriott Convention Center in Oklahoma City, or
Right.
the
Yeah.
Convention
Right.
Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
and it was and it was, like it was just a different atmosphere, and it resonated with me. And you could also see the boom that was starting to happen with mountain bikes, right? And so I wouldn't say I was in at the ground floor, but I was certainly in at a low level before it
Yeah.
boomed. And which was cool because this was like my second time being a part of something as it boomed, right? Because I was part of the BMX boom, and then I watched it drop off, and then the mountain bike thing did it, and I was able to get in and be a part of that. But I
Yeah.
started noticing in '94 that I was having I was crashing in ways that I shouldn't be crashing, and it was because I wasn't very good at switching bikes and going from my BMX bike to my mountain bike and back. So,
Listen,
and
I want to circle back to two things. I have two questions I got to ask.
what you got?
Well, I have one question I want to ask,
Mhm.
and then there's two questions you have to ask yourself. So my question for you is, I was thinking back about when you were 15 and you were 16 and then
Yep.
17. That class of racers, we can talk about the pros all day long, starting from the 70s. That group of riders, that group of pros went through the sport together. First it was the first round of the David Clinton, Perry Kramer,
Yep.
Stu Thompson from the very Kevin McNeil, those guys right there. And then as we get to the early 80s, some of those guys drop off, but some stay in.
Yep.
And then you have the next wave of pros that come in that grow into that high echelon. But you guys, your class specifically, from the very beginning, from when I started watching, you guys were phenomenal bike riders, competitors,
Yep.
and it was amazing to watch that level of talent, and to watch that level of talent go through the pro ranks the way you did.
Yeah.
When you look back at that, did you realize then? And who were those guys?
I think the riding was changing a little bit, right? And some of the guys were able, like a guy like Greg Hill was able to adapt, right? Like Greg was able to, or he was able to transition over and still be battling and racing us. Obviously it was getting towards the end of his career, but he was able to do that, right? And so this is a constant thing that happens in evolution with every sport. Supercross, you watched it with McGrath, Carmichael, then James Stewart, and there's evolution that happens. I think the way we cornered, and I think that the way that we went through jumps was pushing those guys as well. They were getting better too. It's not that we were better. We weren't better than those guys because they were phenomenal. But we were definitely, I think that group of pros saw us coming. I think they knew that we were coming, and I think they were watching us as much as us watching them. And so, yeah, we knew that we were going to be competitive. Obviously, you don't know if you're going to go in there and be able to really, really like, make it happen and have as much of an impact as we did. But yeah, I mean, our class was,
I saw you coming.
Yeah.
I saw you, Charles. There were a number of you. Lopes, certainly Mikey King.
Yeah. Billy.
there were guys, Billy Griggs. I knew that you guys were coming. I knew you were gonna make an impact on the pro class.
Yeah.
I often wondered if, and every once in a while you guys would sneak into pro practice,
Yeah.
and then we would leave it to Eddie King to take you out, huh, JV?
Be the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think,
and you guys would get in pro practice, and it was, I'll tell you from my perspective, when you got in the gate next to me, there was the green light went off in my helmet.
yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm going to show this, youngster. I'm going
Yeah.
to show this youngster, and it was two pedals and cut over.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
No,
that's
it
how
was,
it was. And we would rough you up a bit to let you know, hey, listen,
it's not going to be that easy.
no. And
Yeah.
I often wondered if you guys would in the pits or in staging would say anything to yourselves like, look at how
I don't recall the any specific conversations where we were specifically talking about racing as pros and coming and beating so and so or doing something. But we all had we knew that we were going fast, and we knew that we had speed that was relative to the pro class. And we also knew that we were really, really pushing each other to be better, right? So like, I mean, dude, like I said, we wrecked each other a lot. I mean, we were rough.
You guys rode aggressive, and that's what I noticed was that, man, these guys are aggressive.
Yeah.
They're going to fit in the pro ranks, and but some of them were a little bit too much. Or I noticed, and I'm going to use an example of Kenny May.
Yep.
Kenny May was a great amateur racer in that older category, and I thought, but he was a bit reckless.
Yes.
And I thought,
But he always rode like that. He rode like that, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the way he was.
Yeah, but you could, and he got a number of wins. He did have some really good weekends, and he was really, really fast. But often with Kenny, that reckless would get him because we were racing three mains, right? And so you had to, like, when you're racing three mains, it's different than one main. You can be a little bit more reckless because you're just racing for the win, right?
Yeah.
And so racing for the win in amateur it's one lap, no crap. You just go, and if you're in third and you're going into the last turn and there's a hole, you dive bomb for first. I mean,
Tough to beat 3-2-1.
Yeah.
3-2-2.
And so, but when you're
You
doing
a lot of weight, you
when
can
you're
win
racing-
AA with 3-2-2 with a guy like Kenny May because he's going to go 1-7-8.
correct,
Right.
you have to evolve in your racing. But yeah, I mean, like that group, Hayden, Veltman, Darwin Griffin, Cecil was racing. I mean, dude,
Amazing.
it was crazy, man. And it was awesome though. Like, and like I said, we were really, really aggressive with each other. We would wreck each other, but we also, I feel like that class, there was a little bit of a unity of the graduating class where we were, we definitely felt like we're the new guys. We knew we were going to come in, and we were like, so we'd wreck each other at the races, and then we would be hanging out with each other at the hotel, not even mad at each other. Like, dude, I wrecked you. You wrecked me. Like, we wrecked each other, and we cost each other a win, but like we would still just be hanging out. And I think that helped us. I think that helped us. Like, we were like, we're going to come in and try to take over, and we're going to try to establish our dominance or our presence in this thing. Charles and Billy got in a little bit before us, but I would say they were probably still a part of our graduating class that went in.
I agree.
But they were a year or two before us, but I would say that those guys were part of that new wave that went in.
Part of the Terrible 10.
Yeah, they were part of that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was fun, dude. That was those amateur races, and it was 17 and over at the time, man. So it was like, we had some big groups, and dude, you would get into a semi, man. It was like, I mean, you could go race a national weekend where the main on Saturday would only have two people that Sunday's main would only have 2 people that made the main on Saturday.
That really says a lot.
That does.
That really says a lot.
So
Okay, well, I have 2 more questions that need to be asked, but traditionally you ask the question, EC.
yeah, the rental car stuff, huh?
No.
Uh,
Your 2 questions we normally ask are
worst and best.
worst and best.
All right. So the question you asked.
No, the question you ask.
Yeah. The
Who was your
question I'm
best?
asking myself. The question I'm asking myself. Who was my best and worst teammate? So best teammate, probably.
EC.
Yeah,
You see how hard this is for our guest?
I know it is hard for him.
JV. I mean, we just
Yeah.
we just think you're gonna have the answer like that.
Probably, I mean, I loved having you as a teammate because you're my big brother and you were my hero. But
Thank you.
but I'll say I think I had probably the most life experiences. I was teammates with Charles for 3 years straight on 3 different teams.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
JV, I would have said the same thing. I would have thought if I had to pick who he was going to say, I would have said Charles.
And here's the thing, right? Like Charles and I were really close. We roomed together a lot, and we really fed off each other and motivated each other. Like we actively talked about beating people and making a statement, or going back to a race in South Park and saying, dude, we're going to kick these dudes' ass this weekend. Like we really talked about that in the room. Like we talked about how hungry we were, how much we wanted to make this our careers. And that was really important for me at a really important time, because I was 15, 16, and 17. So those are formative years. And you're establishing yourself and some of your habits and stuff. And Charles was pretty professional about his approach, man. He was in bed early. He ate well. He didn't mess around. And, I think maybe, and I did. I mean, I was, even at those times, I was still drinking beers a little bit with the guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think had I not been with Charles, well, it's evidenced, right? As soon as I wasn't teammates with Charles, I did drink and party more. And I think he kept me honest, and I think he kept me grounded a little bit and kept me focused on the things that we were there to do. And
the conversation you guys, and the way you would interact with each other in the pits between motos and after motos. And I have to think that when Charles, because you were in the main before him, Charles would see you absolutely stomp their dicks in the dirt.
That's right.
He was motivated. If you won by 6 bike lengths, he felt like he had to win by 7.
And you're right. And we talked about that. I mean, I think I was watching video the other day, and he won worlds in Slough, and I was the first person. I was in the main before his, and I was at the finish line. I was the first guy to hug him.
I remember that. You didn't go to the pits. You were standing right there. You were the first guy. I mean, that was oftentimes the case, that you guys were hugging it up at the finish line. It was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And it really was like, and then, dude, he's funny.
Oh my God.
He's fun to be around, right? Like he's a fun guy to just be around. So he knows he was really good about being lighthearted and funny and joking when we needed to be joking, and then being dead serious when it was time to be dead serious to get your job done and to execute. And so, I mean, Charles was the perfect teammate at the perfect time that I needed to be the racer that I was capable of being. So Charles, I think he played a big part in my success and helping me be faster and win more races. So for sure, it'd have to be Charles.
And JV, wouldn't you say of all of our guests, and maybe in all of BMX, one of the greatest laughs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He laughs from like down in here, you know,
man.
like
He doesn't
Funny
hold it all
guy.
back, and it's great.
So my dude, he's a joker, man. Like, I mean, you know, it comes across when we get him on here periodically, when he's been on different ones, and when we had him on, it's one of the I'm sure you guys get the same, but I have a lot of people that tell me often that our podcast that we did with Charles is one of their favorites.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude,
I get that a lot.
Every time I have a phone call with him, a conversation on the phone, it's the same thing. At the end, my stomach hurts, my face hurts just from laughing with him.
Yeah.
It's
But it's
great.
important, right? He knows how to have a good time and enjoy life and laugh at life, even, you know, even when you're trying to be serious, you know, he knows he knows how to break the ice, and then it's like, okay, now it's time
All
to
right.
be serious.
Yep.
Give us the
Really
worst.
good
Give
at
us the worst.
Okay.
You're dragging it out. We're running.
Yeah.
It's like you know, in the government when they filibuster it, so you run out of time.
Well, I mean,
Give us the worst. Let's go.
Everybody knows the story about Bacchus and me being teammates with Bacchus. And so I got along with Chris, actually. Like I didn't not get along with Chris. He was my teammate, and we talked at the races and hung out. I didn't not like Chris, but I mean, dude, what he did to me, what him and Mike did to me in Ohio was the worst, man.
Mike,
Yeah.
I
So
was just watching TV.
yeah. So yeah, and you know, I think everybody, I'll retell the story, and if you want to put it on, you can. But you know, it definitely it was literally the first race on the team, and we had we were in Ohio at Christmas Classic, and it was really really cold, and anyways, we found a stray cat, and it was, damn, dude, this cat, I don't know how it was still alive. It was so malnutritioned and ribs showing and hair falling out. And I decided it would be good to like take it in and feed it and take care of it, because there's no way it's going to survive outside, right? So we bring it in. I'm in there taking a bath, dude, trying to relax. And Hollywood gets the great idea to tell Bacchus, hey, you know what would be funny is if you took that cat and threw it in the bathtub with you.
Oh my God.
So Mike didn't do anything except the power of suggestion.
And all I said, Bacchus was trying to catch the cat, and the mangy ass cat. He finally did. And he's holding it, and he looks at me, and I'm sitting at the foot of the bed looking at the television. I just looked at him. I looked at the bathroom, and I said, EC's in the bath. And that's all I said.
Yeah.
They said, you know, dude, it sounded like there was 100 cats in that bathroom.
Oh God.
And
so I hear that I'm just sitting there kicking back in the bathtub, hanging out, and I hear the door open, and I'm like, what is going on? Why is the door open? And dude, just over the top of the shower curtain, I see the cat, and then it just gets dropped. It literally gets dropped on me. So this cat's falling, right? And dude, you know, cats in water, that whole deal.
Right.
So it didn't get in the bathtub with me. I caught it. I reached up and caught it in midair.
Holy.
Like by the torso, right? Well,
yeah.
As soon as I caught it by the torso, it just started.
Had to be. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was just the back legs just. So I'm getting it. I throw it out, right? And like as I'm throwing it out, it's still clawing onto me. So it's like hanging on. Oh, dude, it just shredded my forearm. And so I come running out, and I thought Mike did it because he's the practical joker that Mike is. And I'm yelling at him, and he's like, dude, I've been here the whole time. And I look over and I can see Bacchus's face, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I knew he did it. So
yeah.
Yeah, that was an over the top, like deal. And like I said, I ended up getting the double ultimate revenge. The couple weekends later, we were in Phoenix. Myself, him, and Monty Gray were in a room, and that's when I took my after the end of the day. This is really gross, but I took his pillow and I wiped my ass after a day of racing,
Oh God.
and then I told Monty to just follow my lead. And so when Chris came out of the bathroom, I smelled my pillow smells really really like, oh, what is this smell? It smells weird, man. And Monty did his, and then Chris just took a big old whiff of his pillow as well. So we had a good laugh about that. But ultimately, like I said, my now wife, when we first got on Hutch, was dating Chris Backus. And well, I ended up befriending her and writing letters and ended up, well, here we are.
Yeah.
How many 40 years later?
Yeah.
So I guess that's the ultimate revenge you get on your teammate at Chris Backus. But I will say, like I said, when you know, when we were traveling back east and stuff, I didn't not get along with Chris. It wasn't like I talked with him and we would practice together, and he wasn't a bad teammate. He wasn't like, he did that one thing, but he wasn't an asshole all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you hear stories where people talk about teammates that are like, they're dicks all the time, and it sucks to travel with them and sucks to deal with them. Chris wasn't that way at all. He was a pretty quiet guy and pretty easygoing guy. He wasn't a bad guy. He just shouldn't have thrown a cat in the bathtub with him.
Well, he had a little push.
Yeah, it was just too much.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
I have one. I know Mike has another one. I have my last question for you. It's a little more, I think it's a little more serious of a question.
Mm-hmm.
You were very you were, you can argue and say, one of the most successful people on two wheels, right? That we know, and and you've raced, mountain bikes, BMX. Do you think at any point in time, because I think, people get good, their heads start getting big, they, start to maybe not be themselves, and then they turn into kind of like a dick, like you just described.
Yeah.
Do you think, and as long as I've known you and everyone that's known you, EC, you've always been a good guy. You have great parents. They brought you up well, obviously, right? Mike's been a good friend to you. You learned a lot from him. But do you think at any point in time that you almost, or maybe was like, oh man, I gotta check myself because I'm not a dick and I don't want to be that way? Do you think in your career, maybe at the peak, do you think you ever might have been like that? No.
I don't think I ever was like that at all. Now, if you were to talk to Judd Ciencio, Judd would say that we were the SoCal factory bros that had a chip on our shoulder and thought we were cool guys. I think maybe I think there is probably a contingent from the East Coast that may think that may have the opinion that these guys think they're hot shit because they're SoCal factory riders, and then they come out here and I can understand why they would have that, but it's only because they didn't know me. I can't speak for other riders, but they didn't know me as a person. If you were to know me as a person, you would know that the way my parents raised me and the way I've conducted myself has always been humble, to be humble, to be appreciative, to treat others the way they treat you, with respect and courtesy. And I've been like that forever, man.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up. I think something that helps me also is that I wasn't always, there was a lot of years when I was an amateur that I was barely a main maker.
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't always a factory guy. I didn't grow up as a factory young guy with a chip on my shoulder. So, or thought that I was entitled I wasn't entitled. I was really excited about the opportunities I got. I mean, when I got on
Yeah.
Co-Factory JMC, dude, I remember my mom talking to Jim Melton on the phone, and I was hiding behind the door listening, and I could hear her saying, okay, yeah, okay, so okay, yeah, so we'll come and pick up the bike. And dude, I was so excited. I had to run because I didn't want my mom to know that I was listening, but I ran down the hall to be in the other room. And then I had to pretend that I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so excited to be on Co-Factory JMC.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I don't think that I don't think that I come across that way. I don't think that.
No, you don't. I was just
But I do
curious if
think I could see people that don't know us, right? Being that don't know us and didn't know me. I could see them being that way and thinking, oh, these guys think they're hot shit.
yeah.
But I don't feel like there was ever a time where I needed to check myself, because I have always checked myself.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Right.
Hey, I
And
want
I've
to try to tell the
always,
story. I want to try to tell the story and make it quick, and I want to do it without getting choked up. But the first time I went to a big mountain bike event with EC was an industry event called the Sea Otter Classic. It's the biggest bicycle event in North America. And I'm standing in a booth, and a guy comes up and he says, "Hey, is EC here?" And I said, "No, but he'll be back in a bit." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm Blind Bobby. I'm a friend of, I know EC really well." And I go, "Oh, tell me, how do you know him?" And Blind Bobby, who is a blind mountain bike rider, goes on, and I mean goes on and on and on, of telling me, because he doesn't know who I am. I'm just a voice in a booth, going on telling me about the character of Eric Carter
Mm.
and who he is as a person and what he does, not just for him, but what he's witnessed Eric do for other people. And dude, that guy couldn't tell, but I was bawling.
Yeah.
I was bawling.
No, it's great.
And just thinking about how proud your mom and dad would be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Thank you, Blind Bobby, for those minutes of that you gave me. That precious
yeah,
gift you gave me.
yeah,
Okay, enough. Just
no, I want to speak on that.
God dang.
It's true, man. Blind Bobby is not with us anymore.
Mm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Bobby passed away probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. And he was exactly what Mike said. He was an incredible story, man. He went blind. Wasn't born blind. He ended up getting this disease and a blood pressure thing, and they
Mm.
told him he was going to be going blind. And so he had time to plan for it. But dude, he rode mountain bikes on some of the gnarliest trails with a guide guiding him, telling him where to go.
Wow.
And I just thought Bobby's story was so insane and so incredible. And so I befriended Bobby, and I was in awe of what he did. And so I helped him with, things that he did. There was actually a documentary film, and I had a pretty good piece in his movie as well, speaking on it, because my son Ethan has an eye issue, so it resonated with me. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to have that time with Bobby, Mike. It's important, and I'm glad you shared it with me. And my parents would be proud, man. They raised me to be that guy, and
Yeah.
so and it's important. It's good to hear those things. And like you said, JV, Mike had a huge part in crafting my career as a cyclist as well. You know, Mike was always a pro that always had time for the fans, right?
Yep.
And I noticed that. That meant a lot to me as a growing up kid looking at heroes. And then I had guys like Harry Larry who didn't, you know.
Right.
I mean, there are stories, I will say, there are people that have come out and said, oh, Harry had time for me. Harry had time for, you know, he did this. And Harry did good things for some people. I have to acknowledge that. But on a consistent basis, every time, no matter what, Hollywood Mike Miranda always had time for his fans. And that meant so much to me, man. And I've told this story, Mike, a bunch of times about how we were in the airport in Texas and we were all getting ready to get on an airplane to fly home, and the flight was delayed. And Mike took all the kids to the ice cream stand and bought us all ice cream cones. I still remember that story, man.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old. That made such a huge impact. It made such a huge impact on me as a person.
Yeah.
And I always remembered it. And I've always, so when I got to be a factory rider, I always wanted to have time for the kids. So, and that's why it speaks to the part where you say about checking yourself. I was never that guy, man. I gave my stuff away at the finish line. My plates were gone. My pads were gone. I would give stuff away. I wanted to be as much like Mike was as a pro. And I wanted younger kids to see that as well. I wanted to pass that legacy on so that when the younger kids got to be pros, they learned that that's how you conduct yourself as a pro. That stuff doesn't cost us anything, man. They give us those gloves and those number plates for free, right?
You didn't give away those VDCs though, did you?
I did not give away
Still got that.
I did not. And you know, but
I love you, kid. I love you both.
Yeah.
I love, you know, I'm gonna edit all of this. You know me. I'm editing all of this shit out.
But
I love you. I love you both, and it's grateful to know. It's grateful to know that you guys have maintained that. You know, you go anywhere with JV, you see the same thing. You see the exact same thing.
Of course.
People
well,
love, especially if I go to one of his events. Now I'm seeing a little bit different JV, by the way. I see, you know, they treat JV like he's like the elder statesman. He's, you know, he's the expert.
I am definitely the elder.
Yeah, and you see these young guys come up and talk to him with a certain reverence. But then I see the way JV interacts with them, and I was like, yeah, he's good, such a good person. Wow.
Good egg, right?
Yeah, see, being a good egg.
You got to be a good egg, man.
Okay, here's my question. Here's my last
got?
question. Dude, cannot let you get away without asking you about, you know, we all have a job at Dirty Fest. We all have a job at Dirty Fest. And a lot of, you know, I think my job is to, you know, kind of, I do my thing. There's a few things that I feel like I'm in charge of and I got to get done. And then I know with JV, there's a few things, major things he has to get done.
Yeah.
And there's pressure on us to get done, but they're mostly behind the scenes. EC has two things in my mind. There are two major things he has to get done. Number one, he's got to build an awesome track that everybody loves, that's safe, that's fun to race on, that really creates the event.
Yep.
100% done it every time.
Yep. I agree with that.
He has to win the race.
He's got to. He's our only team. He's our only team rider.
Yeah, he has to win the race. You know, and I hate to say it, man, but the pressure is just going to keep building.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's pressure a little bit, but I mean,
it's a perfect answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little, I don't feel the pressure to, I just like to win, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I
hate to
lose.
That's obvious.
Is the same old guy. Nothing has changed.
That's obvious.
Right. So, you know, well, as evidenced by that stupid trophy dash thing you talked me into at the Frogtown, dude.
Yeah,
I had no business going up. None,
I'm
dude.
tired. I'm not going to. No, you got to. You're representing us.
JV. Halfway through the day, I was already cramping.
I know it. I was too. I'm with you.
Right. And so if you saw my motos, in the motos that I was racing, I was laying up.
Dude, you were sitting down and coasting and looking back the whole time. You know, oh, I'm second. That's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was getting seconds and thirds in the motos because I was literally just saving. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I just want to save so that I can do one lap fast and win the main.
Right.
So the whole day I was in conservation mode because I was already cramping. So it did it. It worked out. I ended up winning the main. I had a great final. I get to the finish line and I'm like, oh man, I was like, dude, I'm done. Okay, I got done with the race.
He's done. He gave it all. His
Nope.
tank is empty.
Big brother comes running down. He's like, dude, trophy dash. You got to go back up. And I'm like, oh, there's no way, man.
Oh, yeah.
My legs are done. I'm already cramping. He's like, just shake him out, dude. Just shake him out. You got to get back up there.
He tried to
You
tell
gotta
me
get up
no.
there.
He tried to tell me no. It's like, you can't
So
be
I'm
a
like-
pro. You can't be a pro and a pussy.
So my competitive spirit took over and I'm like, oh, damn it. All right. Yeah, I guess I'll get up there, man. But I didn't have any business being up there, man. And so I just basically followed Cheeseburger the whole race and stayed as close as I could just so I could put a move on him. And then I did, but dude,
did?
that was it.
Yeah.
Hey,
It was
the
one little
spirit
bit
was
too
there.
much.
The spirit was there, but the potassium wasn't.
No.
I think
Oh.
I think it's a better story that I cramped up and wrecked than if I won. Honestly, I think it's a better story.
The best story is that you cramped up literally where the whole track goes to one line. Is the
Yeah.
bottleneck right on the peak of the jump? You
Right to the little step up peak or whatever that thing was.
I know
Yeah.
any other place I could have coasted. If I hadn't been on the jump, I probably could have coasted to the line.
Gosh, dang.
Threw me over the bars.
Just everyone
good-
rammed into you. It was great.
It's a good story though.
Oh.
Yeah, those are my jobs at Dirty Fest. You know, there's other little things too, right?
Oh
Because
no, there's a lot of things you do, but those are the two main ones, and you have to get them done.
the pressure for me, the biggest pressure for me at Dirty Fest is that I'm at Dirty Fest and I got to make the track good. But quite frankly, that's really an easy thing for me to do. Like that's actually easy for me. The hard part is juggling that's my place of employment, right? So I work there. So I have work responsibilities regarding things that are happening, people in the campground. There's a lot of that stuff that happens that is in my head. Often I don't even share it with you guys. It's just stuff that's going on behind the scenes in me that I'm like,
Yeah.
like those cars can't, like I'm thinking to myself, dude, if those guys are parking there, like they can't park there. Like those type little things, those are the things that are, I would say, are the biggest pressure for me. I love to win. That's also a pressure.
And everybody wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's you get, that's a blessing and a curse on that weekend for all of us, not just me. It's for all of us, right? Because as you guys know, we're trying to produce an event.
Right.
And often we don't have time. We don't have as much time as we would like to have to speak with the people that we deem important in our lives, right? This is the reunion. This is our high school reunion. And unfortunately, we are the promoters of the high school reunion. So we don't get to reunion as much with people as we would like. I feel, I don't know if you guys feel that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
There's
I mean,
longer
I feel worse-
conversations that I would like to
worse
have
for
with
JV.
people. Yeah.
Somebody's trying to say something nice to JV, and he's yelling at him because they got the wrong number on his plate, or he didn't. He
Yes.
signed up in the wrong class. And
I know.
JV's letting him have it. JV's honking his horn at him.
Terrible.
Yep.
I got a new
My job's easy. You know, when people want to stop and talk to me, I just slosh a little gas from the gas can as it's back up, and I keep going. Easy.
But it's a good time, man. I like it. I like the weekend. I really like that I've been able to race and have fun with my kids. That's been an important part of it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm glad my mom got to see that.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. That was great.
Yeah.
That was a really, really, those were special times to be able to have my mom see me and her grandkids race together.
I mean, that's something, really. I mean,
It
just
is.
even for me to see, because anyone with kids, I think, to see that
Yeah.
is just, that doesn't happen a lot. How would often does something like that happen?
It doesn't happen at the NA
No.
Nationals.
Yeah.
There's no class that allows you to race with your son.
No,
Poor
but I
daughter.
mean, I think I thought it was so great
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah.
Yep. It was the reason we do it.
Yeah.
It was the reason we
agree.
do it.
Yeah.
And to have all the hens in the hen house for the last time.
Yes.
It was a blessing for us all.
Mm.
Blessing for us
Amen.
all. Well, man, listen, this was, I'm glad we got to surprise you on this one.
Yep. Yep.
It was
It was a
JV's. It
surprise.
was all JV's
Was
idea.
not. See, there you go. You know who that. Who sends me a note 15 minutes before we're about to get on and goes, "Can you do his Wikipedia real quick?"
That was
I
pretty
don't know
crazy,
how to
man.
get through that fucking thing.
Where's the fact
Huge.
checker? Where's the fact checker?
That was funny. That was a good surprise. And you guys got me, man. I didn't anticipate that. I thought it was going to be, when you said controversial, I was thinking it was Frank Post, because we've been trying to get him, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be Frank Post. And I'm like, maybe Hollywood got somebody else. And then I actually thought, maybe it's John Purse. Maybe they got John Purse on.
Oh,
That's
But-
a good
now I
one.
feel bad that I didn't get him on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, right? The funny thing is, like, yeah, it's just, it was funny. You guys surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, it was good. It was good. And
There you go.
I enjoyed going down memory lane a little bit. I've told some of these stories on other podcasts, but they haven't been specific when you guys are interviewing me. So good
Well,
stuff.
I started thinking about this. It was like, we ask all these guys these questions. I go, you know what? There's stuff about EC, like the end of your BMX career. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was really curious as to see how you were going to, I knew that Chooch was your favorite, had to be.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what you were going to say, and I didn't know, there's a lot of, I figured it'd be a good one. A good one.
Yeah.
I mean, and then JV said, "Hey, we should do EC," and I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't, yeah."
Yeah. See, there you go.
JV said, "We should do EC," and you know what I said? I went, "Meh, yeah."
Oh man.
Oh, all right.
Thanks
Hey,
for the
here we go.
thanks for the opportunity, boys. It was a pleasant surprise. I thought it was cool. I hope everybody that tunes in likes it, and it's kind of a cool little curveball that you threw.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Well,
I
thanks,
love you, kids.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Cash Matthews coming to you from the NBA reunion being held June 21st in Newhall, California. Coming out on the 21st of June at the Newhall Recreation Center, where we honor the great Ernie Alexander. And this show is going to be great. We have legends coming out. We have Mike Aguirre, Mike Miranda, Kevin Jackson from the old Schwin team, Tracer Finn from CW, Doug Williams from Las Vegas, John Palfreyman, Vance Patterson will be there from our industry side, Lynn Caston, the legend from Redline, Skip Hess, the legend from Mongoose, and Bob Harrow, one of the all-time iconic riders. Come on out June 21st, have an evening with this wonderful group of people and go back to your roots. The NBA reunion, June 21st, honoring Ernie Alexander and all of our legend award winners for 2025. We look forward to seeing you. We've got a bike show that morning, and that is going to be phenomenal. This is going to be a great weekend. You do not want to miss it. June 21st, Newhall, California. Hang out with your buddies.
Hey, Scott.
Hey,
What's going on? Tell me about this cool ass event.
all right. We want you to come out to our event. It's called Rialto on Wheels. It's April 26th from 9 till 2. So it's only a 5-hour event. We're going to have some great things going on. We're basically taking over the whole block around City Hall. So it's at Rialto City Hall, April 26th. That's Saturday from 9 till 2.
And what's going on with that thing? What are we going to see?
So you're going to see all kinds of things. We got a little bit of something for everybody. So we have a bike rodeo in the morning for the little kids. We've got a little obstacle course so they can learn about safety and proper etiquette while riding out there. We've got a vintage BMX bike show. So we're going to have a lot of amazing bikes from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, kind of that old school period. If you got a cool bike, you got a collection of bikes, bring them, show them. You might win an award. We got awards 3 deep for all categories. We have a ride out. So if you're into the big wheel ride out stuff, we're going to have a couple hundred people. Rialto Police Department's going to give us an escort. It's only a 1-hour ride, super easy, but it's open to everybody. So that's going to roll out. We also have an expo area. So people from the industry will be there. Electric bikes, people from the BMX world will be out there showing things. We're also going to have some celebrities as well. So by Perry Kramer, hopefully you, Stu Thompson, and other people from the BMX world that you can meet and greet. We'll sign your autographs. It's going to be a great time. And we also have, before I forget, a BMX freestyle show. So we got guys coming out with ramps. They're going to do tricks and stunts. These are some really high level athletes, people that have medaled in the X Games. So really, really cool. It's going to be an amazing event. Again, 9 to 2, Rialto City Hall is where you need to be to come out to Rialto on Wheels.
Oh man, that is awesome. I won't miss it.
Okay, cool.
Hey everybody, Sean here from Rad BMX Builds. If you don't know who I am, I'm retired military owning a small veteran-owned BMX company. I specialize in social media content and build old school and retro BMX bikes from predominantly the 80s. Sometimes I dabble into the 70s and into the 90s, but 80s are my area. I'm a Gen X kid and I love this type of stuff. So if you like old school BMX builds and content, events and shows, make sure you give me a follow on Instagram at rad_BMX_builds. I also have a YouTube channel. Go check us out on YouTube at Rad BMX Builds. I wish all of you a very merry BMXmas, and as always, stay rad.
Hey guys, Matt here from the Nostalgic Neighborhood. We're building a community of friends reconnecting with the best parts of our youth, 80s pop culture, skateboarding, and of course BMX. We've got video coverage of events like the Buckeye Bike Show, Flatland Jams, the BMX Hall of Fame ceremony, and then the Rad event down in Texas with Kevin Hull, Eddie Fiola, and Hollywood himself.
Oh, my third dramatic exit.
I've shared bike builds, we've relived childhood memories, and I've even started flatland riding at 49. In 2025, we're ramping things up, more BMX, more nostalgia. Join us for the fun over on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, riders. My name's Kevin Wilson from the BMXers podcast, and I want to make a personal invitation to all you dirty bastards out there to come and watch. If you're into old school BMX stories, old school trivia, or building old school bikes, I'd like to invite you to come by the BMXers podcast on the BMXers YouTube channel and check us out. Leave me a message, subscribe, leave me a dirty message. It doesn't matter. Want to hear from you. Thanks very much. And keep watching the Dirty House podcast because that's where it's at. Peace out. Thanks for everything.
Hi, guys. This is Danny Pena from Danny Pena BMX Racing on YouTube. I like to review BMX races. I love going over BMX magazines such as this, BMX Action being my favorite. Huge fan of the Dirty Knobs podcast. I love the fact that they're giving me some support on this. I love talking about BMX. Please go to my channel. Like, subscribe, comment. I come up with videos just about every week. Love talking BMX. I do a lot of the old stuff, new stuff, mid-school, whatever you want. Come to my channel. Thanks a lot.
Hey, this is John Cruz. No, we're not having an earthquake. I have Parkinson's. What do you think of that, Michael?
We ought to pitch in and get you a gimbal.
That would be nice. But seriously, this is John Cruz, and I obviously have something going on, and I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 20 years ago this year, actually. So I've chosen the Davis Finney Foundation over the years to be my voice for Parkinson's. If you're not familiar with the Davis Finney Foundation, Davis Finney is one of the winningest cyclists in American history. He's the roadie, if you guys remember those roadies out there, all that Lycra and stuff. But he is just a great man. When he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, he decided to make a difference in people's lives. And his choice was to start a foundation. And that foundation obviously wishes for a cure for Parkinson's, because there is no cure at this time. But they recognize that you have to live with Parkinson's, and your caregivers are having to live and take care of us. And the Davis Finney Foundation, that's what they do, is they only look for a cure, but they look for ways to enhance the quality of life for Parkinson's sufferers and their caregivers. So I appreciate all of you supporting the Davis Finney Foundation. It certainly means a lot to me. I know we all have something, right? So I think it's important to give back to our communities, whether it's BMX or a foundation that's close to your heart. If you don't have one, please choose mine. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, John Cruz. You certainly have made a difference in a lot of lives, including mine, and giving us the opportunity to do something good for somebody else is fantastic. So thank you. Thank you so much. And on behalf of John Cruz, please find a way to give something to the Davis Finney Foundation on behalf of John Cruz, the Dirty Knobs, and your entire BMX family. Thank you very much.
This is Jay Oakes with BMX Breakthrough. Our mission is to grow the sport at the local level. We've reached out to TOs across the country to say, what is your need to better reach new riders, both young and old? And we've put a financial number to that to make it easier for sponsors and donors to jump in and say, I got this one. You can check out our website, bmxbreakthrough.com. Reach out to me directly, jay@bmxbreakthrough.com. We've got our social media at BMX Breakthrough. We've got the podcast as well. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get more kids and adults on bikes.
Guys, you're watching the Dirty Knob Podcast with Mike Miranda, Eric Carter, James Vicente. What the heck? Are you enjoying the show? Well, hey, take a minute, stop, pause, go to your computer, torquerracing.com. You know what you want to do, torquerracing.com, check it out. You're going to check out the new Pro X frame. You're going to check out the EK frames. You're going to check out the Barbarians. You're going to see the new Torquer shirts. You're going to see the pads. You're going to see all the new stuff. Go to torquerracing.com. You Dirty Knobs! You've been watching the Dirty Knob Podcast with Mike Miranda, Eric Carter, and James Vicente. Guess what? Now, I'm Bill Ryan. This is Supercross BMX. You need to click on the supercrossbmx.com. Come on over! Buy stuff! We need to sell stuff so we can keep in business, so we can keep supporting the show! Come on! Do it!
Hey folks, this is Mike Rodriguez, aka Mr. Crit. I've been racing and making number plates since 1980. You know, like when they used to do one pedal starts. But you know, Crit Plate has been around for 43 years. The last 4 decades, the who's who of BMX have raced a Crit number plate straight to the handlebars. And you know, you get that guy Mike Savage, the international man of BMX, still doing it strong. And you know, back in the day, the plates used to be reversible because there was multiple sanctions, and you could put, you know, one sanction on one side, one on the other. Now you just got one. But Crit is still reversible, and that logo is still on the back for guys like Mike and your rad guys, you know, like Mike Miranda, who would turn those handlebars and twist them up. And we got it rad just for you.
All right. Hey, where will we see those plates?
Those plates you can see at every single bike shop that stocks BMX stuff in the USA and Canada.
And where will you be at? Will you be at an event sometime soon?
Damn, I'm sponsoring the Dirty Fest, and I can't wait to come out to Southern California and get dirty.
Hey, Dale Holmes, I want to tell you something. One of my favorite podcasts that I never miss is BMX Weekly. Even though it has an accent, I still love it.
Cheers, Mike. You can get all the podcasts on bmxweekly.com. Old school, mid school, today's school. Check it out.
Yeah, BMX Weekly.
Hey, here we go. Hey, Beer Budget BMX, baby. Coming at you live from the Beer Budget Studios over here at the Hack Shack Quarantine. Oh, man, we're coming in hotter than Satan's nutsack. Yeah, we are dirtier than an Alabama strip club where reclass pros go and get lap dances by their half-sister. Yeah, the only show that'll make you second-guess your life choices like a Amish on an e-bike.
Hey, if you guys enjoy what you just listened to, make sure you tune in every Wednesday night to the All Things BMX show, the only live streaming podcast show in the game right now. Even ask Mike. He's been on. Vicente's been on. Still waiting for that other guy to come on the show. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. And you can also find us at allthingsbmxshow.com.
Jacket on, jacket off. Oh, don't say it that way.
You can jack it on all you want, brother.
I said that.
We're leaving that in for sure.
No. Oh, you're recording this whole thing. Great.
Oh, absolutely. Because you never know when you get a gem. You got to hang on to them.
The actual shootout is on Saturday the 17th.
That's the shootout. That's the standard. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to hear that dog very much in the background. I don't know what's going on. No, a human must be walking by 3 blocks from here. Hang on a second. I got to deal with that. That's not good background. Sorry, guys. Hey, what is your deal?
Do you think that Joe Rogan deals with this? Absolutely, he does.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
You're not Joe Rogan.
Is there going to be more jacking off in this one? Jack it on, jack it off. Come on now.
He had a prayer.
I am just 8 mentally. I'm sorry.
That's all you, man. That is going in. No matter what we do here, that's going in.
I appreciate that. Okay. Rusty, you better lead us off and I'll try to follow.
Okay. BMX event. Yeah. We have a special guest coming in from Arizona, Mike Hollywood Henderson.
Terrible. Terrible. Hate that. Oh, terrible. He ain't Hollywood. Come on.
Blooper.
We got a new addition to Dirty Fest.
What did we get?
We bought the siren.
Oh, yeah. That's right. It's Mystery Moto.
I had this idea of, when we do a raffle, because we have phenomenal raffle prizes. We give away like 10 bicycles, 12 bicycles. We have all kinds of stuff we're giving away for the raffle. So this year for Dirty Fest, I had this idea of, why don't we bring back the siren? And my favorite part was when I told EC I'm buying the siren, he knew exactly what it was for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's good, dude. It's loud, JV.
Yeah.
You're going to trip out the first time that he turns that on. And depending on it's just literally depending on how long you leave it on.
Yeah. Charges it up.
It's just RPM based, right? It's
yeah.
just
a
thing that's spinning in there, and it just keeps giving it more and more and more RPMs, and it just makes it louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. I mean, dude, it's loud, dude. Like,
and dude, you know me, I'm not buying anything unless I try it first. So I had the guy plug it in, and he had to go around. He went to all the neighbors and told them he was plugging.
Oh,
in.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. Dude, it's loud, JV.
I have a new jersey for you.
Do ya?
Yep.
I like it.
Yep. For everybody.
I'll put my black pants and boots on.
Designed a new one. Yeah.
Yep. Does that mean? Does it say 2-time Dirty Fest champion? Hear that, Terry Tonette?
Just stirring the pot. Hollywood just stirs the pot.